Welcome to the Essential Self-Care Podcast, a show for those of us who are, let's face it, too busy for self-care. Each week, we bring you real-life stories and expert insights to help you create a kinder, more compassionate relationship with yourself. I'm your host, Dr. Sheetal Ajmani, a physician with over 2 decades of experience blending Eastern and Western well-being practices. As the founder of Radiant Living Institute, I'm here to help you reconnect with your own inner radiance. Remember, small changes make a large impact, and it all starts here. Please note, this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not medical advice. Always consult your own healthcare provider about your specific situation. Now, let's get started. Welcome to the 100th episode of the Essential Self-Care Podcast. I am so thrilled to be here at episode 100. And today I am going to be doing a solocast episode where I am going to share some reflections from the first 100 episodes of Essential Self-Care, a little bit of where we've been, where we're going, some of the top themes that have come up through this show over the first 100 episodes, close to 3 years of the show being in existence. And so, first of all, before we dive into that, though, I really want to say thank you. I could not create this show without you tuning in and listening, without your support, without your feedback that many of you have given me over the years. So whether you have been tuning in from the very beginning or have just recently discovered the show, I am so excited that you are here. I am so honored to have played or to continue to play even just a small role or a small piece of your self-care journey. And so thank you. And with that, in our 100th episode, close to 3 years of the launch of this show, as of the time of this recording, we have had 60 guests on the show sharing aspects of their own self-care journeys or experts sharing specific tools and strategies within their realm of expertise, offering guidance on how we can begin to integrate some of those tools and strategies within our own lives as well. This show has had over 7,000 downloads since the beginning up until the time of this recording and has been listened to in many different countries around the world. In addition, as I mentioned, there's just been such incredible feedback, and really that's perhaps what touches me the most is hearing from you. A number of you have written to me, at the end of many episodes, I often share and invite you to share your reflections and feedback with me. And I'm so appreciative of those of you who took me up on that offer. Again, those of you who have, that there has never been any catch in that. It has truly been me genuinely being interested in what has resonated with you most and reflections from that. And through that, I have had the opportunity to meet some really wonderful and incredible people who have been tuning in, who have shared how they discovered this show during really pivotal moments in their own life. Pivotal moments such as pivoting in their careers to completely different industry, to having recently separated and navigating divorce and co-parenting, to recovering from burnout, to navigating caring for loved ones with newly diagnosed health conditions. There's just been so many situations that many of you have written to me about that you have discovered this episode in the midst of going through those challenging times, and that you have found some degree of solace or inspiration or even practical tools and strategies and mindset shifts to help you through those challenging times. And so I want to thank all of you as well. Those of you who have written in, and those of you who perhaps have noticed some of those shifts in your own life. And if you haven't written in and would like to, again, I still really do welcome that. I really do love to hear from you. And so to do that, you can just visit my website, radiantlivinginstitute.com, and use the contact form. And I really do read and reply to every message myself. That all being said, I also wanted to take the opportunity during this episode to share some reflections from some of the top themes that have come up. After having recorded 100 episodes, spoken to close to 60 guests, there are certain themes that I have noticed come up through many of the episodes, through many of the personal journeys and stories that guests have shared with us here. And so I pulled out just a few of those to reflect on today. And one of those is that self-care is a journey. Most every single guest who has been on this show has alluded to this in some way, shape, or form, that it really is a continual journey, that it really is a continual practice that requires consistently looking at what they're doing for self-care, making changes if needed, but it's never like a one and done sort of thing. Almost every single guest has shared that this is a continual journey that they are on. And there may have been some pivotal moments in their life that really inspired them to prioritize different aspects of self-care as non-negotiables. But ultimately, one common theme is that it is a journey. Another theme that has come up along some of those similar lines is that self-care really does look different for everybody, and also different during different seasons of your life, during different moments of your life, during different phases and situations of your life. What you do for self-care and what that looks like for you may look different. So not only is it different for everybody, meaning what one person chooses to do or prioritize to really care and nourish and nurture themselves may be different, and likely is different than what someone else does. And that's another reason that over the course of these first 100 episodes, I have invited so many different guests to come on the show and share their journey, because through that, again, if you've been listening from the beginning or if you're just starting to tune in, you'll find that there are such a wide array of tools and strategies and mindset shifts and perspectives that people have found helpful. And, the reason that I have really been intentional about that is to really expose you to different modalities and tools of self-care, because there's really so much for us to learn through hearing each other's journeys. In the last episode, episode 99, we talked a little bit about the importance of community and how we all really need our village and our tribe, and that we aren't meant to be siloed. Our culture has really shifted to a very individualistic society. However, we also know that at the same time, things like loneliness, social isolation, and mental illnesses are on the rise. They're at the highest levels than they've ever been. Loneliness is also being called and referred to as an epidemic at this point. And we also know that those things like loneliness, various mental health conditions, have effects on our physical body as well. And so we know that all of this is going on, and it's such an important reminder of how vital our communities are, how vital it is to create that village for ourselves, right? We don't live in village. Most of us don't live in villages anymore, but it's so important to create that village yourself. And if in any small way this show has been part of that for you, I hope that it has, through hearing some of the journeys, some of the stories of our guests. to help you feel less alone, to help you feel less isolated on your journey. And so, I brought all that up to kind of coming full circle to share that there's so much that we have to learn from each other if we allow ourselves to open up to that. And, this has been quite an interesting journey for myself, even hosting the show, coming on week after week, speaking with guests. And a big realization for me was that I am asking and inviting guests to come on the show and share vulnerable aspects of their own personal journeys. And in doing so, it's important that I do so as well. And as someone who has long prided herself on being a very private person, who has long grown up in a culture where we don't talk about our problems or imperfections, on a personal level, that was quite a journey for myself as well. And yet, as I've done that, both through this show as well as in my own personal life, day-to-day encounters, I have found that it is so rewarding that through various challenging times in my own life over the years, I have felt very alone. I have felt very isolated in my experiences. But when we start to share our stories with others, we come to realize that we really aren't alone, that these experiences, while specific details might be different, a lot of the emotions, a lot of the dynamics that go into these experiences really are shared and really are part of a common humanity. And so that's been a big part of this show, for me personally, and perhaps for you as well. A couple other themes that have come up quite a bit in this show as well. One is I've noticed that while everyone's self-care journey has looked different, while everyone has leaned on different modalities, I have noticed that for quite a few people, integrating tools that required using their physical body, so physical movement in some way, shape, or form, many people have found that helpful. And again, as I alluded to earlier, when I was talking about how the loneliness epidemic, how mental illnesses affect our physical body, our physical body, our mind, our emotions, they really are all connected and really do all impact and affect one another. And so, a theme that has come up repeatedly has been that when we start to work on one aspect of our well-being, we find that the impact and the results of that do carry over into other aspects of our well-being. Another aspect of self-care that has come up in many episodes was this aspect that I often refer to as the unsexy part of self-care, which is boundaries. Setting boundaries, of saying no, of people really realizing that it was important to them to say no to people, places, situations that no longer felt aligned, that they felt drained or depleted from engaging with, and or to really honor what they do need in the moment and what they are saying yes to in that no, which is often saying yes to spending time with themselves, spending time to recharge, to reconnect with themselves, or to reconnect with other people, places, or things in their life that they truly value, and making an intentional effort to prioritize those things. So I wanted to take a moment in this 100th episode again to reflect a bit on where we've been and also review some of the top themes that we have explored together here, and to share a bit of an announcement, which is that I thought this would be an opportune time to take an intentional pause from the show. So This is by no means the end of this show, Essential Self-Care. It will continue to live on in all of your favorite places that you tune in to this podcast. However, I will be taking an intentional pause on recording new episodes. And it's something that has been on my mind and my heart for a little while. And I thought that, the 100th episode would be a significant milestone to really take this intentional pause. As you may or may not know, this podcast has always been a outpouring from my heart that really gives me tremendous joy to create, and it still does give me tremendous joy. I love having these conversations with the guests that come on the show. uh, I love editing these episodes. You may or may not know that I do all of the editing myself, and a big reason for that is because I really enjoy it. I enjoy having the opportunity to listen back to these episodes in the quiet of my own home and to be able to really reflect on the insights from each of my guests when I'm not in that host seat. And that's something that I have the opportunity to do when I'm editing. I enjoy sharing these episodes with you and hearing from you of your feedback. And I mentioned this in an episode not too long ago that this show has never been about a way to bring in more income or part of my intentional business strategy. In fact, many business advisors over the years have advised me that it really isn't a great use of my time in terms of growing my business strategically. But I continue doing it because I just enjoy it. And as you'll see, if you go back and tune into many of these other episodes, or if you have been following along from the beginning, that has also been a recurring theme in this show, that to really allow yourself to be guided by those things that give you joy, true joy. And it's been a personal journey that I have been on very intentionally for the past close to 3 years to really ask myself that question before I move forward in any endeavor is what gives me joy? Does this give me joy? Does this feel aligned? And really tuning in and really allowing that to guide some of my decisions, actually many and most of my decisions over the past 3 years. And so that's what this show has always been about, which is why I say this is definitely not the end, because not only will this show continue to live on all of the podcast platforms, but I am certain that I will be back to recording some episodes in the future because I just enjoy it so much. But for this moment in time, I am taking an intentional pause as I am energetically feeling drawn to focus on some other priorities that have come up, both professionally and personally. So again, if you've been here from the beginning, thank you, thank you, thank you. These shows will continue to live on. Please take some time to go back to listen to some of your favorite episodes or catch up on any episodes that you may have missed. If you have just recently started tuning into the Essential Self-Care podcast, there are so many wonderful episodes here. Please scroll through the list of episodes, check out the titles and descriptions, and tune in. And at any time, even though I'm not currently recording new episodes, at any time that you tune into an episode that really resonates with you, or that you come away with saying, I'm going to try this tool or strategy, please shoot me a message. I would really genuinely love to hear from you. So just hop onto my website, radiantlivinginstitute.com, and use the contact form to share your insights and feedback with me. Until next time, I know you have so many choices for how to spend your time, so I thank you for being here today with Essential Self-Care. As a gift, download your free workbook, 6 simple yet powerful steps to create your radiant life at radiantlivinginstitute.com and start your journey to a more radiant you.